reach out and touch faith. Hey there, friends. How's it going? David Potts with Song Notes here, and today we're looking at Personal Jesus. So this is a Depeche Mode song, of course, but it's the Johnny Cash version of the song I'll be covering in today's lesson. Let's get into it. Oliver on my Song Notes page. Thanks very much for the request. This one is for you. Hope you enjoy. So let's start with the riff, right? This iconic riff. I'll show you that sort of easy way to play it, which is sort of one note at a time, but a bit later in the lesson I'll talk about a bit more of an advanced approach where you're going to use a sort of bar chord, sort of barred power chord on the 4th and 5th strings. You're playing multiple notes, you're bending the string. I'll get to that a little bit later, but I want to start with the beginner stuff because even if you're relatively new with guitar, you can totally get into this one. So let's get into learning it, right? The first thing you're going to want to do in learning this riff is get comfortable, first of all, just plucking that low E string, okay? You're going to be doing that a lot. But the first hard part you might run into is you're going to have to jump between the 6th string and the 4th string, right? And on the 4th string, this is important. You want to put your index finger on the 4th string, 2nd fret, and you want to sort of plant it there, right? It's going to sort of be anchored there, right? And basically, when we get to the riff, notice how that finger was not moving, right? So the first thing you might want to try, if you're just getting started, is just get used to going between the 6th string and the 4th string with this note added, okay? A simple exercise you could do is just sort of do a 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Be able to do this cleanly and clearly without mistakes. You might accidentally hit that 5th string. That's okay. Just sort of, you're gonna need to sort of, it's like playing tennis and you keep hitting the ball into the net. You gotta hit it a little bit higher than you're used to, right? Same with clearing that 5th string. So get used to doing that at first, right? The next exercise we'll do is adding your either middle finger, you could use your ring finger too. If your middle finger is somehow, I don't know, sometimes I found my index finger was getting in the way. Either one of those fingers on the 3rd fret of the low E string. You want to add it and then remove it. You can get good at plucking that low E string open with the 3rd fret note down and then open again, okay? And then while you're at it, go back to that previous exercise where you're adding that sort of 2nd fret note on the 4th string. And the sort of exercise I would recommend practicing is sort of doing this, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Your goal is to get a clean sound with each pluck of the string, right? That includes the 3rd fret note, it includes the open E string, and it means you also want to be able to jump from that 6th string to the 4th string, like I talked about already, okay? Once you're good with those, the sort of final sort of training wheel exercise here is doing this one. This is going to bring in the timing we're going to use in the actual riff. It's going to sound like this, right? 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. And then take a 4-beat rest and then repeat it. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. This is a nice little exercise. It has that sort of rest built in to give you space so you're not having to frantically, constantly play stuff. We'll get to that later, right? You want to take it nice and slow at first, but once you're able to do that, right, then you can sort of go to the sort of full version of the riff. And the full version of the riff here, it's 2 measures, meaning we're going to have those 2 measures of 4 counts each, okay? And on my song sheet on page 1, wherever you see sort of E minor riff, that means play this 2 measure sequence here. And at its simplest, it looks like what I just showed you. You're kind of going to play that riff twice. But there's a little bit of a change here. The second time you play it, in the second 4 counts there, notice how that first note on the E minor, that low E string, it happens on the and count, just after the 1. Whereas at the very beginning of the riff, you're going to start it on the 1 count, right? So if I counted it, it would be 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... Okay, so those 2 notes being at different times are really important because that second measure starting an 8th note later than you expect kind of gives the riff a bit of its sort of iconic groove, right? So that would sound like this E minor version. Ready? repeat that over and over again. Now, while you're at this stage, I recommend doing the A minor version of the riff as well. We're only going to use this in the verse, and it's not used as often, so you don't need it as much, but it is really important to get a handle of as soon as you can. It's a bit trickier, but here's the cool part. It uses the exact same notes as the E minor version, in a sense, the exact same pattern, I'll say that. But just notice that everything is one string thinner. So instead of starting on the 6th string, we're going to start on the 5th string, right? But the frets are all the same. So it would sound like this. And you could repeat that as well. And what I recommend doing really is when you're learning these two, go back and forth. Play the E minor riff once or twice, then go to the A minor riff. Play that once or twice. Go back to the E minor. If you can do this, you're going to be totally set up for success when learning this song. That would sound like this if you did it, right? Little bit of a mistake there as well. You get the idea there, okay? So I recommend practicing this. So that's the sort of foundation of the riff. Now we're gonna need this in the intro, in the verse, and in the chorus, right? But the last thing I wanna show you here are some ways to sort of make this a bit more advanced. And there's a couple ways we're gonna do this. One is by using these sort of bends on the 3rd string. Kind of gives it a little bit of a bluesy vibe. We're also gonna work on some pull-offs, where we pluck the string, but we make the string go back to open by pulling our finger off of it. We're not plucking that, right? That's a really cool way to get some good mileage out of this. And the other one is using this sort of little mini barred power chord voicing, which will let us play the 5th string. So I'm playing the sort of riff there, but I'm sneaking in some multi-string plucks. Let me talk about this really quick, because this is going to be a fun thing to explore if you want to sort of level things up. The first thing is learning this chord shape. So this is, and basically I have E minor written, but think of this as really, it's like an E power chord. And what a power chord means is it's neither major nor minor. It doesn't have that major third or minor third, which gives major chords and minor chords their sound. It's just the root and the 5th. The 5th is neither major nor minor. Then it goes back to an octave higher of the root. So the 6th string and the 4th string, these are both E's. Okay, and this note is a B, and that's the 5th degree of the E scale, major and minor. So it's sort of an E5 or an E power chord. I have it as E minor right here. But here's the thing. You want to get used to sort of barring it. You're pushing it with your index finger down. And if anything, you can sort of rotate your finger in like that. So it's sort of, you're getting the part closer to your thumb. That's the sort of part that's pushing down, you know, on both those strings. Don't think of it like you have to be totally flat, because that's going to put your arm at a really weird angle. It's okay to sort of bring your elbow in, touch your elbow to your hip there, and kind of, you know, bring your palm, swing your palm towards the neck of the guitar. It's going to give you that inside part of the string there. So get that clean sound. Whoops. And that's the thing. You heard me play that 3rd string there. You don't want to play that, because if you do that, that's going to sort of, that's going to kill the vibe of the E5. We just want those sort of, that power chord, you know, that like rawness there. So you don't want to play the 1st, 2nd, or 3rd string. Really important there. So just train your pick not to go past the 3rd string, okay? So that's going to be the foundation of these things. Now, as far as the bend, let's talk about the bend first. Right? When you bend a note, you're sort of, I'm pulling it toward the center of the lateral or whatever center of the neck here. You hear the pitch of the note change, okay? That's what a bend is, and basically, whoops. There's no specific amount you want to bend it. The most important thing is you don't want to lose your groove, your sense of rhythm, right? But the overall point here is that you can bend it when you're playing the riff. A little bit of bend it is okay. If you look at the other camera here, you can sort of see me do it. I find that when I am trying to bend it, like I almost bend it more than maybe I should, and it kind of loses the vibe of everything. You want to make sure you have the sort of song in your head and you're sort of staying in the groove, like I said, but it's okay to bend it. You can get a lot of that cool vibe for the Depeche Mode and the Johnny Cash versions. The other one is this idea of a pull-off, right? Pluck again on 3rd fret, and then if you sort of, you can do I'm sort of bringing my middle finger down this way after it's played the 3rd fret, and I sort of am rolling it off of the string, but really hard, so that when the string finally breaks 3, it makes its own noise, which is what we want there. So you can use that in combination with the bend, and it's a really cool effect, right? So anytime you're going from 3rd fret to 0, that's where that's happening. And then the final thing here is this idea of sneaking in some of the 5th string when we're playing the riff. And that's just going to give us this vibe that is a bit more filled and fleshed out because we're playing more than one note at a time. You don't want to overdo it, right? You want to make sure that the main, okay, that was all one string at a time. You want to make sure that riff I just played can be sort of heard while you're playing it. But put your hand in this power chord position, and I have it tabbed out here as I do it, right? Notice my thumb here. I am really pushing into the guitar, so I find that I actually get a bit tired when I'm doing it this way, right? Just from barring it. So I don't typically tend to do it, at least at the current last few days of practicing this song. Just a heads up there, right? But you can if you want. If you listen to the Johnny Cash version, you can definitely hear those multiple strings in there. But again, you don't want to sacrifice the sort of main riff that people might hum, right? Da, 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 da. So that's what you can do if you want to spice up this main riff. But if nothing else, just worry about this main riff, plant your index finger there. I was doing the pull off and the bend there some of the time. But that's the main thing we want to get under our control, because when we move into the verse and the chorus and the rest of the song, we're going to need that really under our control. Okay, so let's look at the rest of the song. And the cool part is I have in my song sheet here, it's 3 pages, the verse, the chorus, the bridge, all tabbed out with strumming. Now, each of these sections uses the riff at different parts of it, so you need to know the riff, you need to have it under control. But there's a few parts where we're going to break into strumming, and I'll talk about that now. I'll talk about what we're going to strum, what chords we're going to strum, and the pattern we're going to use, okay? So the first one's going to be the verse. So the verse is going to start off with just a bunch of the riff, right? Your own personal Jesus. Who cares? And when you get to cares, you're going to go to the A minor riff, and you're going to do it just one time, and it's like just a one measure of it, but it's actually going to be cut off one note early, which actually makes it easier. This is the first part that gave me trouble with this, right? We're going to jump to that low E string, 3rd fret, and I recommend using your middle finger. So, in other words, your middle finger is going to first play this note in the A minor riff. And after it plays that first note, the next note it's going to play is that low E string. Right? And after we do that, we're going to do some strums of the thinnest 4 strings. Up, down, up. Okay? And then we're going to move our index finger to the 2nd fret of the low E string. This is going to be a G over F sharp. Okay? This is a chord you don't usually play all the strings at once on, because typically what's happening is this is a transition from the G to the F sharp to the E minor. It's used all the time in tons of songs. But while we're sort of starting on that G, and we go back to the riff there. So one more time, we're going to go to the A minor. And notice we're going to hit that first G note on the and count at the end of that measure. 1 and 2 and 3, 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, okay? That's a really important thing there. I'll do a full playthrough now of this. Let me just do a your own personal Jesus. And then we go back into the main riff. And when you do those strums, just keep them light and brushy. If anything, you want to give the bass note a bit more of the prominence there, right? Okay, keep those strums nice and brushy. You really want to give the bass notes real strength, because that whole main riff is really just bass notes if you think about it. And you want those G bass notes to have the same volume, in my opinion. So that's how you're going to do the verse. Now the chorus, feeling unknown and you're all alone. That starts off with the riff. But after we do the second measure of the riff, we're going to go back to that third string note on the G and do a bass down, up, down, up. Okay, then we're going to go to a D and then do a down, down, up, down, up. And then we get to the A minor in the next line. Bass down, up, down, up. And then we're going to have, I'm calling this an E minor over B and an E minor over C. If you listen to the album version, you can definitely hear those two notes happening, the B and the C. But you also can hear, you can just hear the thinnest strings ringing out, right? So it's like he's strumming open strings. And then you go back to the riff. So if we did that whole section, it would sound like this, right? Feeling unknown and you're all alone. I can't really sing at the same time here, but let's do it. Okay, about those chords, what we're going to do here is just pluck the 5th string, 2nd fret, then do it down, up. When you do your down, you're going to mute the 4th string here. See how I'm sort of leaning it into the 4th string? When you do your up, it's okay if you just get the thinnest couple strings. Then you just move that up to the 3rd fret, and you do the same thing. Again, these are not chords you would typically play in the same way you would play a D or, a C. This is... You sort of you want to emphasize the bass notes, get light and brushy strums on those thinner strings, and then return to the riff. Okay, so I have the tabs written out in that section there, and it's in my song sheet if you want to get that as well. It's print friendly, and you can sort of study that and everything. And then we're going to get to the bridge of the song. Now the bridge is going to be reach out and touch faith. Cool thing about this is it's one shape here, right? It's like the thinnest 4 strings. I'm sorry, it's the middle 4 strings of an F major chord, right? Take an F. We're not going to bar it. We're just going to do the middle 4 strings. So 3rd, 2nd, 2nd, 1st. And then we're going to add that open E string. Okay, this is going to be our F major 7. But before that, we're actually going to play an F sharp 7. And all that is, it's the same shape I just showed you, but you're also going to play that thinnest string. Okay, so it's 4, 4, 3, 2, open. Then 3, 3, 2, 1, open. Then we go to the riff. Another way to think about this is if you do an E and you play it with your middle ring and pinky fingers, and then you just slide it up 1 fret, you're going to have your middle finger free and put that on the 2nd string, 1st fret. That's your F major 7, and then this is your F sharp 7. Okay? Now, as far as strumming here, what we're going to do is a sort of, I like to recommend a down, up, down, 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 up. Okay? But that first down is going to be muted. So it's almost like mute. Up, down, down. okay? Mute, up, down, 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 up, mute, up, down, 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 up, riff. Practice this in mute, up, down, 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 up, mute, up, down, 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 up. When I say mute, I'm effectively muting the strings with my left hand over here. I'm just lightly I'm not pushing down into the fretboard. So if I strum, it's gonna make a muted sound. But I do recommend doing a down strum there because it's gonna give your hand the momentum. Mute, up, down, 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 up, mute, up, down, 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 up, right? And while you're doing that mute, you actually can't transition, right? So mute, up, down, 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 up, mute, up, down, 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 up. And when you're doing the muted strum, you also can do a palm mute with your right hand. I have a whole separate lesson on this technique. You can see here, if you put your hand into the strings and strum, I have no left hand here. It's all right hand. It's gonna kill all the sounds. So. Okay, so between this with this hand and this with this hand, if you use both of those and you do a good enough job with each, you're not gonna make a sound on a down strum. Okay, so it's mute, up, down, 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 up, mute, up, down, 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 up, riff. Okay, and that is the entire song. Those are all the sections you need. Now, if you want to follow along with the full song, I have the song sheet available. It's 3 pages. The first page has the entire lyrics with all the chords written above everything. Every time you're supposed to play that riff, I have it written in. I have everything. I have the riff written in on page 1 as well. So if you were just to play it live or play this out and you had a notebook and you just had the first page, you'd have what you need to play the song. But on page 2 and 3, I show the chord shapes. I show all the tabs showing you those riff exercises. And I also show you on page 3 the tabs and the strumming for each section. So if you want all of that in one clean bundle, it's all there for you in the song sheet. So hope you found this helpful, my friends. Oliver, hope you found this helpful as well. And check out my website. I have a write-up and some additional information on the Depeche Mode version of this song. There's some rhythm differences and some tuning differences. The link's in the description though, my friends. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.